Kentucky basketball needed a heroic defensive effort to pick up an upset win on Saturday, and they got it. Not just from one player, but from the entire team.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we are going to be recapping Kentucky basketball's win over the Missouri Tigers. 91-83 is the final score. Cats get it done in Como. What an impressive win. Great defense, not just from Butler, not just from Williams, but from the entire team from start to garbage time minutes. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're watching this one live here on YouTube, please make sure to leave a like on the video. Let me know what you're thinking in the live chat. We'll get to your comments here as, again, we recap just a massive win for Kentucky. And you, if you are listening on the postcast, I would love it if you subscribe to the show, like the video as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Kentucky basketball victors in Como. 91-83 was the final score. Cats get it done, and they have a chance right now to get up to the 5 seed in the SEC tournament. I was waiting to kind of see what LSU A&M looked like going into halftime. I also wanted to see how that Auburn-Alabama game ended if you're coming off after just watching that. An overtime buzzer-beating victory for Mark Sears and company. Could have used Chad Baker-Mazara for the final 10-plus minutes of that game, but he got himself ejected. Right now, as it stands, 17 minutes left in the second half. LSU up by 2 over Texas A&M. If the Tigers get the win over the Aggies and Ole Miss loses to Florida later tonight, Kentucky will be the 5 seed in the SEC tournament next week. If Florida loses to Ole Miss, or if, I believe, Texas A&M wins against LSU, Kentucky will end up being the 7 or 6 seed, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's the 6. But, man, Kentucky did their part. I mean, everything has kind of fallen Kentucky's way here over the past several days with, on Wednesday, some big-time results going in Kentucky's favor, making sure that they would not slide to the 10, then the 9, and then making sure that they got the double bye. And these were all results that happened outside of them. Mississippi State losing to Texas. You see Ole Miss beating Tennessee in Oxford earlier this week. Just some big-time performances here across the board that have kind of helped Kentucky get into this position, and they came into this game. Missouri was a 6-point favorite at tip-off, and Kentucky wins it by 8. What a game from Kentucky. And I want to start here with the way that this game kind of started. Super sluggish on both ends of the floor. Defensively, both teams kind of duking it out. Kentucky had a couple of different opportunities, some good looks, missed them, had some point-blank shots, just they were not able to go down. I mean, Otega Oweh, I wanted him to be a really efficient player in this game, and he finished with 22 points. And or a couple of rebounds and an assist and 3 steals, but was 6 of 17 from the floor. You take out the 3-point shots, he was 4 of 14, just could not get shots to fall. But man, Kentucky found some rhythm, and they started to cook there towards the middle of the first half. They went on a little bit of a run. I believe they had a kill shot that made Missouri call a timeout, and then they won. We talked about it with the Auburn game, right? They won the middle 8. They controlled the final 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. And I believe that's a big reason why they were able to pick up a win today, is that they were able to build a lead there in the middle of the game, kind of steal momentum going into and coming out of the halftime break. What a performance from Mark Pope to be able to continue throughout the course of the game, to get energy from his entire roster, to get good defense, to get sound switches, to get aggressive play off of ball screens, off of pick and roll. The only thing Kentucky could not slow down, and frankly, not really many teams have been able to slow this down this season, is Mark Mitchell. He was able to kind of get his at various points in this game, especially in the second half. You want to take a look at his stats here real quick. 22 points on 6 of 12 inside, 2 of 2 from beyond the arc, was 4 of 7 from the charity stripe. We'll get to free throws in a second. Had 3 assists, 5 rebounds, no turnovers. A great performance from him for the Tigers. But here for Kentucky, man, the defense was everything, I think, in this game. And you talk about Seth Pryor mentions in the chat here just now. You talk about Kentucky getting production from their front court defensively. Shout out Andrew Carr. Shout out Amari Williams. Both guys, I think, stepped up in a major way this game. Both of them were kind of all over the place. They were asked to do a ton on both ends of the floor. Andrew Carr here in this game ended up finishing with 34 minutes. I'll pull up his plus-minus stats here real quick. For some reason, Missouri's stats broadcast is being really weird. He was even. He was 0 there on the plus-minus, but Amari was plus 13. Both players finished in double figures. Carr finished with a double-double, his third of the season, with 3 assists and a couple of blocks and a steal. Big-time stuff from Andrew Carr defensively down the stretch, and Wayne Evans mentions it in the chat here after this 91-83 victory. 3-1 in our last 4. I was close to my 4-0 prediction. Of course, with the way that Auburn has been playing as of late, you are not surprised that Kentucky fell to them. If we get them again, I think it would be very interesting. It's clear Auburn has lost some major energy after beating Kentucky. I think they wanted to clinch that SEC title. Pearl got them up for that game. Kentucky was in a weird spot, could not get past a lot of different things in that game defensively. Miles Kelly had just an insane hot shooting night, or day, I should say. It wasn't played in the evening. But now Auburn's kind of fallen off, I think, mentally. They have struggled against Texas A&M, lost that game. Just lost here against Alabama in a game that they were favored by 8. A buzzer-beating floater from Mark Sears to seal that game. So I think Kentucky right now, despite the loss to Auburn, is still in a very good spot. I think emotionally and then physically, I think health-wise, they're looking great. All things considered, with Jackson Carissa out for the season, both of them officially out for the season. You look across this roster, Carr coming out of the postgame saying that he feels great. Lamont Butler feels great. Mark Pope has praised these kids for kind of rallying despite some of the health concerns. And something that Mark Pope praised today, and I think that we need to give these guys their flowers, is that the young guys played super well. Like really, really well coming off the bench. Travis Perry, I know I've given this kid a very hard time, like a really hard time, criticizing his play on the floor, saying that he's just not ready at this point to be an SEC contributor, at least in a really tight spot. But man, he finished with a big 3 or late in that first half. He had 3 points, 1 assist. He did have a couple of bad turnovers, but plus 10 there while he was on the floor. Had a big steal also where he got the ball back, fed it to Williams, who slammed it after Missouri was trying to get out in transition. I liked what I saw from him, and I liked what I saw from Travis Perry and from Trent Noah and Collin Chandler. Collin Chandler has continued to impress. Shot 2 of 4 from 3 in this game. Box score says he has had 2 turnovers, Seth, not 3. Although if he had a third, I would not be shocked. But Collin Chandler, 8 points, 3 of 5 from the floor, 2 of 4 from downtown. Big shot as the first half came to an end. He has been a legitimate scorer, replacing Jackson Robinson's production. He's coming alive, man. He looks more comfortable. He's shooting the ball at an extremely high clip. He's picking up steals. He got a block in this game. You can tell Kentucky is kind of short on athleticism in a variety of different spots on their roster, but Collin Chandler, with his athleticism and his go, he is an explosive player that I think Kentucky can start to lean on a little bit more, or at least kind of nudge him in that direction as we are officially into postseason play. Trent Noah, 1 of 2 from 3. He was plus 7 in this one, had a couple of rebounds. One of them, I think, was just a big defensive board. He also had an assist in 10 minutes of play. Man, the production on short notice from Collin Chandler, Trent Noah, and Travis Perry, I think, was very impressive in this contest. So we'll continue to break this one down here. Kentucky victors over Missouri. 91-83 is the final score. Before we continue, though, I do want to tell you guys about our friends over at Supply House. You can get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades over at Supply House, because whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need. It's delivered fast from coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. Thank goodness. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. You can join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, you can use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's all over at supplyhouse.com. All right, continuing along here on the Saturday edition of Locked On Kentucky. Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. Really appreciate you guys checking out the show today. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel or the podcast feed, I would greatly appreciate it if you did so. Kentucky victors over the Missouri Tigers on their senior day, going into Como and stealing one behind a very impressive, well-rounded performance. 91-83 is the final score. We'll continue to break this one down here for you. And I wanted to get to this. We talked about defense. We talked about the young guys. We talked about Otega playing well, Andrew Carr playing really well. But what were the keys to the game here? I'm going to pull this back up from my Google Docs so that I make sure I'm not misquoting myself here as far as keys to the game go. But I had 3 different ones for Kentucky. They had to win the paint. Offensive rebounding had to be limited. You had to be more efficient inside. And you somehow had to be better than Mitchell. That was the first key, just win the paint. Second key was win the turnover battle. At the very least, if you cannot have more turnovers, you need to cash in on the turnovers that you get. And then the third key to the game was get to the free throw line instead of missing shots. Obviously, everybody missed shots on both ends. Offense, or both Missouri and Kentucky missed a ton of shots there at the beginning of the game. But I think Kentucky, in a sense, did all 3 of these things relatively well to great. First, we'll talk about controlling the paint. In this game, Kentucky shot 48% as opposed to Missouri's 44%. You want to look at points in the paint. Kentucky only lost that battle by 6 points. And I think overall, they blocked some shots. They got some stuff done at the end of the game. The Clone won. Big upset. Yes, this was a big upset. Kentucky was a 6.5-point underdog. They are down 2 players that were major contributors for the season. Yes, this is a big upset for Kentucky. Momentum-wise, I think it's a big one. But Kentucky, I think, controlled the paint at a variety of points in this game, and I was impressed. I really was impressed overall with the way that they were able to kind of control themselves, despite obviously being undermanned. And I think Missouri's a more athletic team, clearly, and Kentucky struggled with that at different points, but they were able to kind of fight around it. Second thing here was win the turnover battle, and if you can't win the turnover battle, cash in on turnovers at least. Well, neither team necessarily won the turnover battle, so to speak, as both teams finished with 10 on the day, but in terms of points off of turnovers, Kentucky did end up cashing in off the 10 turnovers that Kentucky created. They had 20 points off of turnovers. Now, Missouri did have 19, which this is what they're known for. This is their skill. It's their specialty. And the broadcast actually mentioned it at some point in the second half. Kentucky was beating Missouri at their own game, creating turnovers and then scoring immediately off of it. It was not until the very end of the game where things got chaotic and there was some garbage time bull crap that happened that Kentucky coughed the ball up and Missouri was able to cash in and kind of keep this a little bit more close. So Kentucky, I think, did an excellent job controlling the turnover battle and then cashing in on turnovers whenever they got them. And then the final thing here, getting to the free throw line instead of missing shots. Of course, again, everybody missed shots at the beginning of the game, but the free throw line was something that had to be good in this one with the way that Missouri got to the charity stripe in previous contests. Second in the nation in free throw rate. Second, 47+% there in free throw rate. Just insane stuff. They only got 21 free throws in this contest. 21 free throws. They had 7 in the first half. 7 in the first half. Kentucky, on the other hand, shot 26 of 33 and 21 of 27 in the second half. They 78.8% and made 5 more free throws than Missouri took. Yes, big-time stuff. Absolutely big-time stuff. So you checked off all the boxes. And then on top of that, yes, shots didn't fall at the beginning of the game. But what did happen is Kentucky knocked down outside shots in both halves. Now, Missouri was on a heater in the second half. They went 8 of 15 from beyond the arc. But on the whole, Kentucky shot the lights out of the ball from three. 55%, 11 of 20. Koby Brea hit some tough shots in that first half. Woo! Did you see that step back three where it was tween, 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 cross, tween, snatch, step back? Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. It's just a thing of beauty, man. Watching Koby Brea hit some outside shots and get hot. Don't let him get hot, folks. Played 37 minutes in this game, 17 points, 6 of 9 from the floor, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. Big-time stuff from Koby, who is stepping up here towards the end of the season. Mark Pope called it in his pregame press conference. He said, I think we're going to see some special stuff from Koby Brea here down the stretch. You got a big one here today from the sharp shooter. Kentucky as a whole, again, shot 11 of 20. How about Otega Oweh going 2 of 3 from beyond the arc? Andrew Carr in his 16.12 rebound, insane performance, was 2 of 3 from 3 as well. Again, Collin Chandler, 2 of 4. Noah, 1 of 2, as was Travis Perry. Ito, the F&D, points out here in the chat, Koby Brea will have to step up from here on out. I agree. Julie Sheving says, sorry I missed your live chat. Great win. We're live right now, Julie, talking about this game. Big-time stuff. Big-time win for the Cats, in my opinion. It's all about momentum heading into the postseason, guys. You want to feel good emotionally. You want to be ready. You want to feel a little bit looser than maybe Kentucky has been in the past. You don't want to be so uptight, so tense, so in desperation in the wrong way, right? You want to obviously understand the assignment, but you want to feel confident about what you're doing. And Paige Sphere put this in the chat a couple of minutes ago. Kentucky seemed confident in this game. I liked how they clicked on the uptick going into the postseason. Absolutely agree. We'll continue to break this one down here. Real quick, want to tell you guys about our friends over at Wayfair. Obviously, guys, I've tried to make the studio here look as polished and clean as possible in your home and wherever you work. If you work from home, if you work in an office, if you're like me, you want to be able to make your space wherever you are reflect your style, whether it's a studio or at home, etc. And with Wayfair, it's easier than ever to make that happen. Whether you're looking for a simple refresh or tackling a big home project, Wayfair has everything you need in one place, and they've got a huge selection. Makes it easy to find the right piece that you need, no matter your space or budget. They've got cozy furniture, stylish decor, and kitchen essentials, outdoor must-haves. They've got everything you could possibly need. They've got it all at prices that fit your budget. You can head over to wayfair.com and find something that's just your style today. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. All right, wrapping up the Saturday live stream of Locked On Kentucky. We'll get to the chat here, kind of hang out with you guys, talk about the different things that you think about heading into the SEC tournament. Jay the Great says, Lance, I don't see Garrison as a starter next season. I think he'd be perfect as a sixth man who plays minutes at the 4 and 5. What do you think? I think that is dependent on what Kentucky does in the transfer portal. If they get a physical, heavy, athletic, I want to see a perfect big man come out of the portal and commit to the Kentucky Wildcats. I'm talking 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet, 250, 260, bulky, shot blocker, rim protector, athletic. I want the best possible guy that you could possibly go out and get. He needs to land on your roster. If he does, I completely agree with Jay here. I think Garrison would be a perfect six-man, especially if he can knock down outside shots. Great player to put in between the 4 and the 5. And you could put some really big, just absurd lineups out there next season. You could do some fun stuff. Paige Sphere says, even when Missouri came within 6, I never felt like we were going to lose. They were composed. Obviously, Kentucky with a couple different turnover issues in the second half late, but overall, yes, they were really composed in this one, found a way to win, and got stops and got buckets. John Medley, go Big Blue Nation. Yes, sir. Ito the F&D says, Koby Brea will have to step up from here on out. Absolutely. Captain Crash 21, of course, with his Grant Derbyshire comments. If Pope had played Grant Derbyshire, we would have scored over 100. This would have been a blowout victory. Your studio looks polished. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I also agree. If Grant Derbyshire if he had checked into this game, I'm sure he would have scored just a few points just by stepping on the court without having to touch the ball. Julie Sheving, oh yeah, this Wildcat team looks so solid. Very encouraging going into March and hopefully April. Fingers crossed, knocked on wood here for the Cats. Man, I love seeing a team building momentum heading into March. There's nothing quite like it. And speaking of momentum, let's talk a little bit about stats. So KenPom obviously my favorite website on the planet. I've talked so much about them, about how important it is for Kentucky to get inside the top 60 of adjusted defensive efficiency, how I needed them inside different metrics or wanted them to be inside different metrics to kind of have a better shot analytically going into the postseason because of what like different teams in the past historically have done with Kentucky's similar resumes to Kentucky and similar efficiencies to the Cats. Just obviously the better you can be, the better your outcomes could possibly be in terms of looking at history. Kentucky jumped from 16th to now, as of right now, March 8th at 5:42 p.m. They are 11th in the nation on KenPom at 21-10 overall, 6th in the nation in adjusted offensive efficiency, and they are 56th in adjusted defensive efficiency, sitting at a flat 100 points allowed per 100 possessions, which is just crazy to think about considering where we were at just a few weeks ago with Kentucky not really being able to get a stop at all. And, man, they have answered the call. They've played some weaker offenses down the stretch, I would say, here. But, man, Missouri is no slouch. Top 5 in the nation in offense, still very, 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 very good team. Have a lot of respect for them. Have a lot of respect for their coach, Dennis Gates. I think he's great. I think, obviously, they've got a really nice core, a nice blend of talent and experience. They are a deep team. I respect them. I think they will do things in March. I think they will have a good postseason. At least I would root for them to do so, as long as it's not over Kentucky, of course. But Page's Fear says, what would be our best pathway in the SEC tournament? I think that every single person I have talked to on the internet disagrees with me. I want to play Tennessee again, because I think they would be the easiest matchup out of the 4 buys. I'm sorry, out of the 4 double buys. I'm sorry. I understand there are some people that feel either decently strong about that or very strongly about, no, I want to match up with Auburn. I want to match up with Florida. I want to match up with Alabama. You see the way that Tennessee's playing right now? They beat South Carolina by 10 in Knoxville. 75-65. I believe they were tied at halftime at like 34. Tennessee Tennessee's a very, very, very good team. Let me be clear. They are a phenomenal defensive team. Great stuff from them. All due respect. However, we've already beaten them twice, and we have proven that the matchup is not good for them. They will have to dramatically change what they want to do on the defensive end schematically in order to beat Kentucky, in order to prevent Kentucky from beating them a third time. That is just my opinion. I think that's our best pathway. Whoever we face off against in the first round, though, I think is an interesting question. Not because of matchups, just because of, I think, entertainment value. I'd like to see Arkansas again. I think that would be, obviously, they're playing great right now. Arkansas is, and it's not a good matchup for UK, I don't think. But I would like to see them just to see if we could get to get a win over them. I would just like to see that possibly. Best pathway, though, as far as looking at seeds that Kentucky could match up against. So let's look at this real quick. I'm going to pull this up. SEC tournament bracket. So let's just say most likely outcome as of, again, 5:45 p.m. on Saturday is Kentucky gets the 6th seed, I believe, which they would play the 3 if they won their first game, but they would have to get past either the 14 or the 11 seed. The 14 seed would be right now Oklahoma in the SEC tournament, and the 11 seed, 13th, would be Arkansas. Which actually, wait, I don't know if that's true, because they're in a 4-way tie with Mississippi State, Georgia, and Vandy. Oh my gosh! So that would mean, hold on, we did this hypothetical in a Google Doc earlier, like a few days ago, about like what could happen with UK. Okay, hold on, let me pull this up, because I had this written down. Okay, if Kentucky wins and Arkansas, Mississippi State, Georgia, and Vanderbilt are all tied at 8 and 10, Arkansas is your 9 seed, Mississippi State's your 10, Georgia is your 11. Okay, so it would be either Georgia or Oklahoma. So it would be Georgia or Oklahoma that you would play if you're the 6th seed, and then if you're playing the 3, it would be Alabama in the what is technically the 3rd round of the SEC tournament. Yikes. That Bama team's hot, y'all. That Bama team is hot. It would be a tough out for UK. I think they could possibly get it done, officiating pending, but that's a tough one. We'll just have to see. Actually, no, they will be the 3 seed no matter what, it looks like. Yeah, because Florida's locked in. Let's see here. College Game Day really missed out on not going to Auburn. Complete joke, thinking people want to see Duke in pitiful North Carolina. I could not agree more. CR16. They have whiffed on that twice this year, and it's embarrassing. Arkansas lost to South Carolina, so I wouldn't say they're playing great right now, but I think they've cooled back off. They've gotten a couple of big wins still. I mean, beating Mississippi State was big, but I think you're right, Felix. Maybe I'm pumping it up a little bit too much. Bama just beat Auburn by 1 in OT. That's what I was waiting on. I was watching that game before I went live. I'm sure people are gonna want to check that out and see how that game's ending. Loyal BBN fan show. This is fun for sure. I'm a huge LSU fan today, which reminds me. Thank you so much for reminding me. I need to go check the LSU score. So A&M is up 44-36 right now over LSU. So if that score holds with 10 minutes and 48 seconds left in the second half, then Kentucky will, be the 6th seed if Florida wins tonight. If Florida loses, then Kentucky will be the 7, which they would play the 15 or the 10. Which would be LSU or Mississippi State, and then they would play Florida. So, man, you've got a good shot to beat your first opponent in Nashville. I would like to see Kentucky do so. I'm sure they would be favored on paper to do so. We'll see what happens. I'm really nervous. I'm tense. I'm getting to that point in the season where my body is starting to realize, hey, it's about to be postseason basketball, and I'm a little scared, but I'm also very, 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 very excited. So we'll see what happened again. Paige Fear says, I want to see Georgia again. Let's see what they do without the ref's assist. Hopefully it's not the same crew, or I will go on here and lose my ever-loving mind again. Felix says, they beat Mississippi State. They've been on a bit of a skid too. I think that's fair. Maybe I'm pumping it up a little too much, but I'm just kind of, they've won 4 out of their last 5. I think that if you're picking a team in the bottom half of this league to go up against, I don't know if that's the team I'm picking. I'll say that. I don't know if that's the team I'm picking. I would probably go with the Texas and LSU as South Carolina. Those would be the 3 teams that I would want to see. Obviously, if I could get Ole Miss, regardless, is over UK. No, so if Ole Miss loses today, well, hold on. Am I wrong on this? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 11-7 if A&M wins. And then Ole Miss is 10-8. No, I guess you're right. Did I look at this wrong? Kentucky's the 7th seed. If Kentucky beats Missouri, A&M beats LSU, and Ole Miss beats Florida. No, actually, if Kentucky beats Missouri, A&M beats LSU, and Ole Miss loses to Florida, Kentucky will be the 3 seed. So, no, if Ole Miss loses tonight, we will be the 6th seed. So, man, I'm excited. Y'all. The analytics are saying positive things about the Cats right now. They are saying that Kentucky's got some momentum. They're playing decent basketball right now. I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens here at the end of the day, to see what the SEC tournament actually does look like. We'll see what happens here. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have not subscribed to the show, hold on, really quick. Loyal BBN fan show. The reason actually that Kentucky would be the 6th is because if Ole Miss loses tonight, they would be in a 3-way tie with Missouri and Ole Miss. And the way that the SEC tournament tiebreakers work is you look at your overall record between each other, and I think all of them are 1-1 against each other. Yes, and then you go to the record against the 1 seed in the SEC tournament. So all 3 of those teams lost to Auburn, and then you go and look at the 2nd seed. Then both Kentucky and Ole Miss, both Kentucky and Missouri beat Florida. So now you look at the head-to-head now that it's down to 2 teams because Ole Miss did not beat Florida in this scenario if Ole Miss loses tonight. And then you go back to the 2-way tiebreaker between Kentucky and Missouri, and Kentucky won the head-to-head, so they would be above Missouri and Ole Miss in this hypothetical scenario. It's weird. It's very, very weird. Great game. Good way to enter the SEC tourney, says HTN Willie Boy. I could not agree more. Really appreciate you guys tuning in today. If you have not subscribed to the show, I would love it if you did so. If you have not followed the podcast, not liked the video, or followed me on Twitter, I would love it if you did all of those things. Guys, it is March officially, and the Cats pick up a big win in Como. What a day in SEC basketball. It's just a great time of the season. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. You can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. You can follow me on Twitter at LanceDawe_, and follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave it in the YouTube comments below. You can hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and God bless.